Welcome to today's episode. Today we'll be rounding up our talk on essentialism. We've been looking at it for the past 2, 3 days, and we've said an essentialist learns to say no, learns to always check before he accepts more tasks. An essentialist is not a kind of busy person, but a productive one. He knows how to differentiate the both of them. And today we're going to be looking at to execute because when you make a choice, you have to eliminate and or then you finally have to execute. One thing you should know is that execution is not a one-day job. Now, to execute, you have to have an idea how it's going to go, a plan how it's going to go, and you taking the action. So this is not just easy to do as it said. You have to properly tax these things down. Even have it boils down to your habits, having nice habits, having good habits and all. So all of these is involved in execution, and that's what I'm going to be looking at today. So without further ado, let's get into it. When it comes to execution, the first thing you should do is planning ahead of time. You are planning for the unexpected things that would happen, and you're making preparations early. You are making preparations early. You are planning ahead for any tasks, anything, any goal, relations to work, academics, anything at all. You are planning ahead. Buy time, 50% more time. If you if you are going to do something and it requires 30 minutes, don't start 30 minutes to the time. Start um 15 minutes for that, like 45 minutes to the time to start. Now you can finish ahead of time, but then you have to yourself more time for rest and to be more relaxed, to go through over and just rest your mind because you are planning to execute. You are already on that phase. So prepare ahead of time and also buy time. And I think prepare for the worst case scenario. What if this thing may happen, or what if the bad case may happen in regards to this? How do I survive? How is it that I do that this thing does not stop abruptly? You are preparing for the worst case scenario and saying that okay, if it may happen, this is how we can manage. This is how we can manage the situation. Now, one thing you know that is that unexpected things can happen. You may kind of like have a plan, but it will not always go according to that plan. Unexpected things are meant to happen because that's life. So now we're going to prepare. How do we go through these unexpected pieces is very important. Another thing you should do is to subtract. You have 10 steps to take. You're looking for what to add to make it even more better. You're not looking for what to add. Try to remove some of those things that are not needed. So the fewer the better. Fewer the better. We've said this thing over and over again. So there are some things that you should subtract out of that list. Very important. Very important. Now you need to make progress. The next thing you need to do is to make progress. But you should not expect progress to just be a one time push, the one time investment of your time and it's done. No. So it is harder to push a huge block than to just break it into smaller parts. Than to just break it into smaller parts and move them bit by bit. You find that you'll be more faster than the person trying to push the whole big block at once. So progress, your small wins matter, your small steps matter. Every little step, break it down into simple little steps that you can take. They matter. For one step you make, you are making progress. For the next step you are taking, you are building. With this little progress, you are building momentum. Unlike when it is just a big one and it is hard, because it becomes so hard that you become tired of trying to force, trying to push, and you are likely to give up. And when it is just bit by bit, where you have to climb the ladder bit by bit and win. So making progress is very, very important. And also learn to reward your progress, visually reward your progress. You see that you're making steps and you complete the step and yes, there's something to show for it that you've done this. Reward reward that reward that step, reward yourself too. It is important. Now, the next thing you need is to create a flow. You can say create a routine, how you put it, but it is to create a flow. Now you want to execute, but you do not have like a plan, a routine to help you. A routine would help you when it comes to execution because you cannot just wake up and say, "Oh, I want to execute." Okay, you know what? Maybe after breakfast, I'll go and start. And then maybe after breakfast, something comes up. You're like, "Okay, after I'm done with this thing," you get hungry. Okay, after lunch, before you know the day has ended, because you do not have a routine, you just would not even take steps at all. So you need to make a routine that would help you. And from a very popular book, there is way on building habits. So creating a routine is important. It is very very important. Another thing that would help you when you are executing is to focus. Focus on what's important now. Focus on the task at hand that is most important to you. Don't go and be multitasking instead of you to be focusing on a goal. Don't go and be working on something and then next you are like, alright, let me just quickly do that. Because the truth is that you cannot concentrate doing two things at a time. You can be doing two things at a time, but you can't concentrate on those two things at a time. So do not just do one and you're next to the other. Learn to focus on a particular thing at a given time until it is done, until you've achieved what you want to achieve for it, then you can go and concentrate on another. This is very important in education. And another thing is for you to be an essentialist. So when I say for you to be an essentialist, you could go back to other videos that has been done, especially the first one on being an essentialist. It's very important. Be an essentialist. These things that an essentialist ought to embody, ought to ought to do, or activities that an essentialist ought to carry out to be activities that an essentialist ought to carry out to indeed be called an essentialist. You need to become them as well. You need to learn to lead. You need to learn to work with your time. You need to learn to prioritize. Very, very important. So be an essentialist. Alright, guys. I am so happy to end this topic with you all, and sharing it too is a way of enlightening. Thank you for joining me before, always, and forever. See you guys tomorrow on the very next topic I'll be bringing in. Bye.